Vergil Ortiz, we know you already accepted that fight back in April, and then his court issues with Golden Boy prevented the fight from happening. Are you getting a little tired of the situation now? Because I know you're asked about it everywhere you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting every action. I did my part, and like I said, I thought the fight was done. After he had Fort Lubin, and we get out the ring, he talking about he want to fight Errol Spence. That's his dream fight. So I'm like, it was crazy. And then leading up to making the fight happen, I started training for that fight in January. So, because we were supposed to fight in March, then we were supposed to fight in April, then we were supposed to fight in May. Then we wind up, fighting Zayas. So I technically kind of like trained for 5 months, for Zayas, because they switched my opponent and all that stuff. But, it is what it is. And, right now, like I said, my task is belts. I mean, I ain't, I'm the man of this division. I do what I want, and I got 2 belts at this division. And my goal is to be undisputed, and that's what I'm going to do, So
Vergil Ortiz, we know you already accepted that fight back in April, and then his court issues with Golden Boy prevented the fight from happening. Are you getting a little tired of the situation now? Because I know you're asked about it everywhere you go.
Yeah, I mean, everybody asks me about it all the time. I did my part, and like I said, I thought the fight was done. After he had Fort Lubin, and we get out the ring, he talking about he want to fight Errol Spence. That's his dream fight. So I'm like, it was crazy. And then leading up to making the fight happen, I started training for that fight in January. So, because we were supposed to fight in March, then we were supposed to fight in April, then we were supposed to fight in May. Then we wind up, fighting Zayas. So I technically kind of like trained for 5 months, for Zayas, because they switched my opponent and all that stuff. But, it is what it is. And, right now, like I said, my task is belts. I mean, I ain't, I'm the man of this division. I do what I want, and I got 2 belts at this division. And my goal is to be undisputed, and that's what I'm going to do, So
Jaron "Boots" Ennis declared himself the face of boxing, saying no other fighter can match his ability to deliver something different in every fight. Knockouts, boxing skill, and pure entertainment value.
Tyson Fury's winding down. Gervonta Davis doesn't really fight much. Do you think that you're really going to be the next guy? You're going to be the biggest attraction? You're going to try to take over that Cinco de Mayo weekend and that Mexican Independence Day weekend in September? Is that the goal?
Most definitely. I'm the face of boxing. Like I said before, guys can't do what I do. And then, like I said before, each and every fight, I give y'all something different. I don't ever fight the same way. And I feel like I'm giving y'all guys knockouts as well. And I'm giving y'all a show on boxing. I'm moving. I can do it all. It's not nothing that you don't get from me. You never seen a boring Jaron Boots in this fight.
Reflecting on carrying the torch for Philadelphia boxing following legends like Joe Frazier and Bernard Hopkins, Ennis said being recognized as the city's most prominent current fighter means everything to him, and that representing Philly on a global stage, while receiving this kind of hometown honor feels like everything is falling into place at the perfect time.
I mean, so to be the guy in Philly, right, that's a big deal. Joe Frazier, Bernard Hopkins. What is it? Can you describe what it means to you, or what does it mean to you to be the guy who's carrying the torch for Philly right now? You are the most recognizable Philadelphia fighter in boxing right now.
I mean, it means everything, to be the guy that's recognized from Philly, and but to be able to take Philly around the world and show the world what Philly really has to offer is a blessing, and to be able to get my block where I'm from named after me, that's a real moment, and I don't even know what to say. Like, it's crazy. Like, I feel like everything's like kind of like falling into place, like perfect timing, you feel me?
Ennis confirmed that a street in Philadelphia will officially be renamed Ennis Way on August 22nd in his honor, calling it a blessing and a meaningful step toward the legacy he's building.
Named Ennis Way in Philly? Is this true?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. August 22nd is the day. They're going one of the streets. Well, they're gonna name my block after me. So yeah, it's some blessing. It's a blessing. It's gonna be called Ennis Way. So this will be live for, legacy.
I mean,
asked who might be capable of bringing out his absolute best the way Terence Crawford's level of competition revealed his own greatness against Errol Spence and Canelo, Ennis said he believes he elevates in direct proportion to the quality of the opponent in front of him. He reiterated his goal of becoming the undisputed champion at 154 pounds, noting that after missing out on a deal at 147, his focus is now on facing Sebastian Fundora or Josh Kelly next, adding adding that fans specifically want to see him tested against Fundora.
And like Boots, you said you were disappointed because you know you're a lot better than that, but it strikes me that you're going to probably need somebody better than Xander to kind of bring it out of you, right? Like, for example, we saw with Terence Crawford, we always knew he was very good, but when we saw him fight Spence and then Canelo, we saw how great he was, and I think you're a great fighter too. Who is it going to take to bring it out of you?
I feel like the better the fighter is, the better I'm gonna be. You know, the sharper I'm gonna be. So, you know, I'm here to collect these belts, and I want to be undisputed at 154, and I will be undisputed at 154. I ain't get to do it at 47. So, you know, the next best thing is
On the collapsed negotiations for a fight with Vergil Ortiz Jr., Ennis expressed some frustration at being repeatedly asked about it, recounting that he began training for the fight back in January, only for the date to shift multiple times before ultimately being replaced by the Zayas fight, meaning he'd effectively trained for 5 months before the opponent switched.
Ortiz, we know you already accepted that fight back in April, and then his court issues with Golden Boy prevented the fight from happening. Are you getting a little tired of the situation now? Because I know you're asked about it everywhere you go.
Yeah, I mean, everybody asks me about it all the time. You know, I did my part, and like I said, I thought the fight was done. You know, after he had Fort Lubin, and we get out the ring, he talking about he want to fight Errol Spence. That's his dream fight. So I'm like, it was crazy. And then leading up to making the fight happen, I started training for that fight in January. So, because we were supposed to fight in March, then we were supposed to fight in April, then we were supposed to fight in May. Then we wind up, fighting Zayas. So I technically kind of like trained for 5 months, for Zayas, because they switched my opponent and all that stuff. But it is what it is, and right now, like I said, my task is belts. I mean, I'm the man of this division. I do what I want, and I got 2 belts at this division, and my goal is to be undisputed. And that's
asked whether Fundora or Ortiz presents the tougher stylistic challenge. Ennis said he genuinely couldn't say for certain, but suggested Ortiz's straightforward, pressure-forward style might actually suit him well given his own power, while acknowledging fans may view a Fundora fight as more tailor-made because of his height.
I can't really say. I don't know. I can't really say, but some people might say, or some people gonna try to say it's Fundora because he's tall, but I love fighting tall people, so it don't really, it don't matter to me. I ain't gonna lie. The more the more I step up, the more, the higher the fight is, the bigger the fight is, the easier the fight's gonna get for me.
Comparing Ortiz and Zayas directly, Ennis said he actually believes Zayas has more overall game and boxing ability than Ortiz, describing Ortiz's style as primarily walking opponents down in a straight line, something he said he's well equipped to counter given his own power.
No, for sure. Boots, do you see Fundora? Would you consider Fundora and Ortiz same level as Zayas, or do you think they're a step up?
To be honest, I think Zayas got a little bit more game to him than Vergil. You know what you're getting from Vergil. Vergil straight up and down. He gonna try to walk you down, and y'all know. Come on now, you can't just walk to me, cause I got heat. I got heat for you. So, and I think that make like people gonna say it's a tailor-made fight for me. I feel like fighting a guy like Fundora, they're accepted more. You feel me?
Asked about a hypothetical fight with the now retired Terence Crawford, Ennis said he'll let Crawford enjoy his retirement, noting Crawford himself had referred to the current period as the Boots era. Ennis acknowledged he wanted fights against Crawford, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, and Shawn Porter earlier in his career when those names were at their peak, but said he was dismissed at the time as a high-risk, low-reward option, a narrative he said followed him for years until now.
Question that are on Fights fans' minds. When they see you, the big fight that looked like maybe it was possible if the eras overlapped was you and Terence Crawford. Bud is retired, but he's still under 40, and when last seen was completely dominant against Canelo Alvarez. Is that a fight you ever think about?
I mean, let that man be happily retired. He said what he said, and he said it's the Boots era. So let him retire, let him enjoy himself. Of course, that was a fight that I wanted. I always wanted to fight him and Errol Spence and those guys, and it was coming up. But at the end of the day, it didn't go that way, and he retired now. So And like he said, it's the Boots era.
However, much of the conversation centered on the long-awaited showdown between Ennis and Vergil Ortiz Jr. Eddie Hearn admitted that making the fight remains his top priority, but explained that ongoing legal issues involving Ortiz and Golden Boy Promotions have complicated negotiations. While remaining hopeful that the situation can be resolved, he revealed that Matchroom is also preparing alternative options, including Josh Kelly and other leading contenders should the Ortiz fight fail to materialize.
Yeah, look, you know, Vergil has his legal dispute with Golden Boy. I don't know too much about it other than I've read what you've read, and I believe Friday we'll get an update on that. We're focused really on Jaron Ennis and what we're doing. Of course, we want the Vergil Ortiz fight because Vergil Ortiz is a phenomenal fighter, and those guys are 1 and 2 in the division. I just want to find out who's won. And Josh Kelly will have a lot to say about that because he's also right up there. But I don't know.
Was there a play for Matchroom to sign Vergil Ortiz?
No, I think for us the focus is on getting the fight over the line, but also working with the parameters of the situation.
Yeah.
And I guess Friday will give us a clearer indication of that. You know, ultimately, you know, Vergil Ortiz is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, of course. You know, if he became a free agent, we would be very interested in joining the team. But the key focus is the fight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously we have an obligation to Boots to make big fights. And, you know, we'll have to see if it's possible to get that one.
Shawn Porter predicted Jaron "Boots" Ennis would beat both Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Sebastian Fundora, arguing that Ennis's talent is simply too advanced for either opponent to effectively game plan against. Drawing on his own career, Porter said fighters often underestimate an opponent's actual speed and explosiveness until they're in the ring with them, which he believes explains how he himself got the better of many opponents despite being scouted beforehand.
What do you think happens against Ortiz or Fundora?
Call me crazy and saying all that. Number one, they have the game plan, but I still think that talent is so superior. Like he said, you know, it's a, and I know this from my own experience. It's a different speed on the outside than when you actually get in the ring and do it. You know, I was one of those guys that everybody felt like they could game plan for me, but they didn't understand how quick I actually was. They didn't understand how explosive I actually was able to get my way with just about everybody I was in the ring with, because on the outside looking in, it's just a little bit different, you know? So I still think he beats Fundora. I still think he beats Vergil Ortiz.
Breaking down a hypothetical Ennis versus Ortiz matchup, Porter and his co-hosts noted Ortiz carries a strong chin and a high knockout ratio, contrasting it with Xander Zayas' relatively modest knockout percentage. They predicted an Ennis-Ortiz fight would be even more entertaining than the Ennis-Zayas bout, given that both men hit hard and have shown some vulnerability, with Ortiz having been dropped twice against Bohachuk and experiencing scary moments against Israel Madrimov.
You know, Mexican chin, real strong guy. His knockout ratio is very high. What he got, like 1, maybe 2 fights where it wasn't a KO?
Yeah, yep.
Xander don't have a high knockout rate, right?
Right.
13 KOs.
Out of how many fights?
Was 25?
13 and 23 wins.
Okay.
Which is kind of low in the beginning of your career. Usually, you know.
Yeah.
So, I think him and Ortiz will be an even more entertaining fight if they fight than last night. I think they're gonna go toe to toe, and it's really gonna be who can take the other one's punch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ortiz
Fundora, huh?
Ortiz been down. I don't think they called it a knockdown, did they?
No, twice against Bohachuk.
Okay.
And he's had some scary moments against Kaviaskis too, Mean Machine. So they both got good chins, but have both also shown vulnerability too. So they both hit hard as hell. And I think Ortiz's hand speed is underrated, and he really puts them together too. But Boots is more versatile and creative. You know, Ortiz keeps his hands up on the high guard. He's explosive. He's ferocious. It's a great fight. I think I give the edge to Ennis though, just because he's a little more talented and a little bit more dynamic. But again, if you're Ortiz, you have every right to feel like you can get him because you hit harder than Xander Zayas. You're more ferocious than Xander Zayas, and I think you got a little bit more speed than Xander Zayas too. So it's going to be a great fight.
Turning to Fundora, the panel credited his recent win over Keith Thurman as evidence he's finally embracing his size and reach advantages effectively, noting he absorbed some of Thurman's power shots and still made the fight look comfortable by using his length.
Fundora, the way he beat up on Keith Thurman in that last fight, it showed me that like he really is embracing his size now. The reach.
Experience now.
Yeah.
He getting that experience. They let him get it.
You know, and he took some big shots too. That chin, like he got the knockout, the one knockout that he had.
Brian Mendoza.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my daughter keep calling me.
You good?
Yeah. So and then Keith Thurman is a big puncher, and he took some shots, and he just fought on the outside and just made it look easy. I think that the way he's fighting right now, if he continues to fight like that.
Robert Garcia also shared his thoughts on a potential unification bout between Ennis and Sebastian Fundora. In his view, Fundora's extraordinary height, long reach, and awkward style make him one of the most difficult fighters in the division to prepare for. He believes those physical advantages would force Ennis into unfamiliar situations, making Fundora a particularly dangerous opponent.
Fundora, man, I think it's tough, man. Fundora has a style that's not going to make you look good. I would say I favor Fundora on that one, man. It's a fight that's not going to be easy for Boots because styles make fights, and Fundora lately, since he became champion, he's getting better and better and better. There ain't nothing stopping Fundora right now. I think the only thing that could stop Fundora is a pressure fighter that's not gonna give up and he's gonna keep coming, working the body, and just kind of bullying Fundora into a fight, pressuring him into a tough fight. I think that's the style that might hurt Fundora. But Boots could also fight smart. He's a good. He's got good footwork too. He's got good speed. So I don't think Boots is the type of brawler that's gonna push Fundora back. So I think that right there, I favor Fundora on that one. I think so. I think it's
overall. Garcia emphasized that Ennis's toughest challenges are still ahead of him. He believes fights against Fundora and Ortiz would provide the clearest indication of where Ennis truly stands among the elite at 154 pounds. According to Garcia, those matchups would determine whether Ennis has the complete skill set to dominate the division or whether there are still weaknesses that world-class opponents can exploit.
Well, no, look, I don't think it's going to be up to us trying to get it before Fundora. It's going to be up to Boots. If Boots wants to fight Vergil, he's going to say no to the Fundora fight and fight Vergil. It's not up to us right now. Boots just became champion. He's a unified champion, so he's got the choice. It's going to be him. Does he want to fight Fundora or does he want to fight Vergil? I think it's not about us. Unless Oscar De La Hoya presents him with an offer that he can't refuse, then it might make a difference. But right now it's going to be up to Boots. It's whatever he wants. If he wants to fight Vergil, then the fight's there. I think we don't wanna stay busy fight. We don't want a comeback fight. We want Vergil to go straight into the Boots fight. If Boots wants Vergil, then he could say no to Fundora, and I want to fight Vergil. But if he picks Fundora, it's also a unification fight. So I'm not blaming him, but he probably knows that maybe it might be a little bit more riskier fighting Vergil.
Garcia also pushed back against recent comments from Timothy Bradley Jr., who suggested Ennis would have little difficulty defeating Ortiz. Garcia strongly disagreed, arguing that many fans and analysts have overlooked Ortiz's recent performances against elite competition. In his opinion, Ortiz has not received the credit he deserves and possesses the power, pressure, and overall ability to compete with and potentially defeat any fighter in the division, including Ennis.
Look, Bradley's a former world champion, a great person. He knows how to speak well. He's done commentary on fights for ESPN, so he's got experience on everything. Maybe it's just favoritism. Maybe it's just something to do with being, having a favorite fighter. It could be that. I don't know. Look, I'm not saying he's, I can't say because we don't know. You're wrong, or get in a fight with Timothy Bradley, because I'm not gonna do that. He's a friend and a good person, but I think the opposite. I totally think the opposite. I think Vergil, look, do people forget that it was just last year, early last year, that Vergil beat Madrimov and the way he did, and the skills that he showed, a Madrimov who almost beat Crawford, and then Vergil goes out and does what he did with Madrimov. I think not only Timothy, but a lot of people might have forgot that already. And then he goes and dominates second round knocker Lubin. Man, it hasn't been not even a year since Vergil's last fight. And it seems like they already forgot his last couple of performances.
While much of the boxing world is calling for Jaron "Boots" Ennis to face either Vergil Ortiz Jr. or Sebastian Fundora next, boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. believes the situation should be viewed from a broader strategic perspective. According to Jones, the direction of the division could ultimately depend on the outcome of the upcoming showdown between Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu. He argued that if Spence defeats Tszyu, a fight between Spence and Ortiz in Texas could become one of the biggest attractions in boxing.
The talk is going to be about what's next for Boots Ennis. And for me, it's either Vergil or Fundora, right? Vergil had a lot to say. He said that, Xander quit. A lot of people didn't like that. A few other fighters said he quit. And so Vergil put himself back in the mix, at least on social. You know what I'm saying? These guys tried to fight before. It's a lot of back and forth about why the fight didn't happen. But for me, it's either Vergil or Fundora for Boots next.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. A lot of that should be predicated on how Errol Spence does against Tim Tszyu. And I'm gonna tell you why. In this game, I am a killer, and I rather kill or be killed, but I do have a knowledge and sense too. The biggest fight right now for that division is Errol Spence if he beats Tszyu versus Vergil Ortiz in Dallas. They sell out Dallas Stadium. You don't throw that away chasing Boots. You let Boots go fight Fundora first. You wait and see what happens when the Errol Spence fight if you're smart. You make way more money right there in Dallas Stadium at home, fighting a guy that grew up in the same gym you grew up in, but y'all got different trainers. I'll probably always have. You make way more money doing that first.
Jones believes that the regional connections, passionate local fan base, and financial potential of a Spence Ortiz showdown would make it a far more lucrative event than an immediate clash between Ortiz and Ennis. For that reason, he suggested Ortiz may benefit from waiting to see how the Spence-Tszyu fight unfolds before committing to his next opponent, as the outcome could open the door to an even bigger opportunity.
I think if you Vergil, you gonna make the dream fight happen first if he wins. If Earl wins, which I think he will, and you make that dream fight happen first, then you go ahead and take the winner out of Boots and Fundora. Guess what? If you let Boots and Fundora fight each other, you ain't got to beat both of them. Now you just got to beat one of them. If you go beat Boots now, you still got to fight Fundora after. So you double work yourself, but you're going to get less money out of it in the long run. Because you're going to get way more money out of fighting Spence in Dallas than you are fighting Boots anywhere.
Ultimately, Jones believes activity is the key for Ennis while the rest of the division sorts itself out. Rather than sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect fight, he argues that Ennis should continue facing top-level opposition, keeping his momentum intact and positioning himself for even bigger opportunities in the future.
Dallas specifically. But what do you think about Boots? You think Boots should go and try to make the Fundora fight?
He has to. Where else he gonna go? He been in this game 10 years, Andre. He got to make every move he can make right now. He ain't got to. He can't wait forever. We saw what happened with Boo Boo. Boo Boo kept waiting and look what happened with Boo Boo. He waited too long. You understand me? So you can't keep waiting like that. He got to go. That's why sometimes he having these lapses, because he's not, like you say, he's not used to having to stay focused the whole night because he's not fighting that he ain't got the right opportunities. So now you got it. You need to go take these opportunities now while they're available. Guess what? Fundora has been KO'd and you have KO power. So that's not a fight you can't win. You understand me? Yeah. And that makes the Vergil fight even bigger too, because now if him and Earl fights, the winner of that fight, you go to Dallas and fight that person, there's another huge payday.
There's more money.
You understand where I'm coming from? So you got to look at it from that side too, but that's not ducking. That's just taking fights the smart way, taking the smarter fighter first. You understand me?
Addressing the ongoing debate, Derek Bozy, Ennis firmly rejected suggestions that his team had ever avoided a fight with Vergil Ortiz Jr. He insisted they actively pursued the matchup when both fighters were campaigning at 147 pounds, recalling conversations from several years ago in which Ortiz's camp preferred to postpone the bout until a later stage of their careers. According to Bozy, those discussions make it clear that accusations of ducking have no basis in reality.
Boots was telling him, man, they was running him out saying certain things about this and that. But like I told him, we've been wanting to fight Vergil at 147. And back then, that was like, what, 3-4 years ago? Back then, they were saying 3-4 years down the line, they was going to be able to fight us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that's what they were saying. Oh, yeah, your father, I never really talk about nobody ducking and all that stuff. But if you want to talk about somebody ducking, I'll tell them in a minute. You know what I mean? I said, yo, that don't look like we ducking. You know what I mean? We were trying to fight all them guys at that time. And everybody knew about that.
Offering his own assessment, Sebastian Fundora praised Jaron Boots Ennis for the way he handled his move to the 154-pound division, describing the unified champion as sharp, confident, and fully settled at the new weight. Despite that, Fundora admitted he would lean toward Vergil Ortiz Jr. in a potential showdown, explaining that Ennis's difficult third round against Xander Zayas exposed vulnerabilities that influenced his prediction.
After you, who do you feel is like the guy in your division?
I guess Ennis. Ennis with his last win, I mean, he looked good. He looked good doing his thing. He looked like he had fun as well. So it's nice to see I mean, he's been a champion before, but a fresh face in 154.
Okay, all right. And then say the talks you go through with Boots and Vergil, who do you got in that fight?
I favor Vergil. I mean, we saw that third round. That was enough for me to see what I needed to see, but it'll be an entertaining fight, that's for sure.
Looking at the stylistic matchup, Max Kellerman believed Jaron Boots Ennis deserves to enter the fight as the betting favorite. He argued that fighters with Ennis's combination of height, reach, athleticism, and defensive versatility usually hold the advantage in matchups like this. However, Kellerman stopped short of calling it one-sided, describing the contest as a genuine coin flip because of Vergil Ortiz Jr.'s proven resume and his statement victory over Israel Madrimov.
The taller, longer fighter with the better defense should be favored, and that's Boots, right? Because generally, that guy wins those fights. Yeah. But it's a different thing than actually going out and beating Vergil Ortiz and doing it in style. If he
especially
fights,
in that type of manner.
Who should be the favorite in that fight, Shady?
I'm going with Boots.
Favored.
Yeah.
He should be the betting favorite.
Yes.
I think this is a genuine coin flip fight. I really do. And I think we have to remember that Vergil Ortiz has fought the much, much better competition.
That's true.
He beat Israel Madrimov, very quality win. Madrimov gave Crawford all he could handle.
This fight happens and Boots wins a close, tough fight. Then he is at least what we.
Chris Algieri echoed just how competitive the division has become. Asked to rank the top fighters at 154 pounds, he declined, arguing that the contrasting styles make any definitive ranking almost impossible. Algieri pointed to Ennis's switch-hitting ability, Vergil Ortiz Jr.'s relentless pressure, Sebastian Fundora's extraordinary size and reach, and Josh Kelly's elusive movement as examples of why every matchup presents a unique challenge. He concluded that no fighter would likely emerge unbeaten if they all faced one another, insisting the only way to determine the true king of the division is to let them settle it inside the ring.
Boots, Josh Kelly, Fundora, Vergil. From the bottom to the top, how would you go?
Can't do it. Because this is one of those fights, this is one of those divisions where, again, if they all fight each other, I don't think anybody stays undefeated. So even trying to rank people just because they're all so different. You know, you got Boots, who's a fluid, side-switching, counter-punching, killer puncher. You got Vergil, who's a two-fisted destroyer, comes to get you. Fundora is a tower inferno. He's 6'9" or however tall he is. You know, you got Josh Kelly, who's a slippery guy. So you've got a lot of different styles. You got to see.
So that's all we have from today's video, and we hope you enjoyed it.